Oh, we are.
So whatever you is ready, sir.
Okay. Welcome. Reading with you beforehand.
Yep.
Team up with ZatCat, Foundation of America, a track sponsor, the heroic force delivering humanitarian assistance globally. For over 22 years, they've been empowering lives through disaster relief, food distribution, water projects, education, medical assistance, and orphan care. Rest assured, with their top-notch recognition from Charity Navigator and BBB Wise Gaming Alliance, means your contributions are in most trustworthy hands. Join the League of Real Life Superheroes at zatcat.org/DragonCon and let's save the world together, or use the QR code, which is
It's right there on the banner.
right on the banner.
Is this the tip jar?
Yeah.
Yes.
That goes to the Arthritis Foundation. If you have dirty money, nobody needs dirty money. It gets you sick. It's where COVID came from, right? Change. We don't need that anymore. Put your change in the bucket. It'll go to the Arthritis Foundation of Georgia, which is the con charity this year of Dragon Con. And we'll recycle it and clean it up for you. Don't worry.
Alrighty. Then without further ado, then let's begin. All right. Welcome to the Creating in the Digital World panel. I'm Winton Bean. I'm a Twitch streamer and do a lot of stuff where I'm a blacksmith, so I forge stuff like this and many other things. And that's a little bit of the stuff that I do.
My name is Heather Bodie. I am a fitness professional, and my last name looks like it's Body, but it's actually Bodie, but it's spelled like body with 2 D's. So I got into the perfect profession to not have like an alias for my name. It just looks like it is one. But I am also a cosplayer, and I have a workout program that I tailored specifically for nerds. It is a completely virtual workout program that you can do from the comfort of your own home, and it is called Geeknasium, and that is like gymnasium but with geek instead of gym. And I'm also a actress and a model, and I have a podcast called Mental Health Multiverse, where my co-host and I dissect media through the lens of mental health and healing.
I am the Rock Out of Podcasting, Charles McFall, and I am the before picture for her website. So, and what now be the after, like Winton is. You got it, man.
I'm in the mid-between.
I do a show called Wise_and_nerdy. So Wise and Nerdy, where fatherhood meets fandom. And we talk about the stuff that we love with everything in life, from anime to sci-fi to stuff like Dragon Con, and our kids, and the struggles we have with our kids, and our work, and everything that really embodies us as human beings. So that's what we do on Wise and Nerdy.
Hello, I'm Chandra Free. I'm a comic book creator and publisher and digital content creator. I kind of don't like that terminology, but whatever. I'm part of Machina Corpse. I'm half of it. We have a YouTube channel called Machina Corpse, and we do things such as Let's Make Comics. And I just did a convention. Well, I didn't just do it. I did it a while ago, but a convention series on what to do at a convention. Also, I draw, I write. I'm pretty cool.
My name is Bobby Blackwolf. I have been a video game podcaster for over 19 years now. It is a solo podcast that I do by myself, but I had been doing it live the entire time. So I've been a streamer for 19 years. It was originally on internet radio. I named it after myself because I thought I'd only do it for like 19 weeks. And here I am 19 years later talking about it. So it's called The Bobby Blackwolf Show. And I always did it live on internet radio. I moved to Twitch with video. So it's still just me talking with the chat room, sometimes taking live calls.
You're welcome.
On Sunday nights. And I have also co-founded the Voice of Geeks Network, which is a geek-centric podcast network and streaming network about all things geek.
And I am Philip D. Keating, also known as the Imaginary Nomad on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram 101. I am a retro and horror streamer on Twitch, and I'm also the creator of Botched and SCP D&D podcast.
All righty. So let's begin with some basic question I have for you guys. What's the challenge you guys have with creating in the digital space that you guys have figured out how to overcome or are still struggling with?
Algorithms.
Yes.
What kind of problems with algorithms?
So algorithms are probably the most pain in the butt because you always don't like say you're on Instagram or YouTube, they always have some kind of thing, like an almost invisible thing that's changing all the time to where your content can't be seen. So it becomes this challenging thing to keep up on these things, from hashtags to like what, like if I post a picture of my artwork online, does that get banned or something to that degree? If I'm showing my face, is that going to be more successful? Like, it's very frustrating in this digital age to get out there and get the word out, like, come buy my comics, and it's like crickets,
Yeah. I can piggyback off that. As a fitness professional and a cosplayer, it's very hard for me to know which of my content is going to do well because it's never the same. I very recently went to Kineticon, and this trending audio, which if I say it, you'll all be like, yep, that was on my page, is the paging Dr. Beat, emergency. Yeah. I just decided, because it had started trending around the time that Kineticon started, I was just like, I'm going to do the dance every single day in my cosplay. And I even missed one of the days. I was like, it wasn't every day, but I got 3 of the 4 cosplays that I did. And I edited it, and the transitions were horrible. And like, I wasn't really proud of it, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put it up anyway. It's one of my most viral videos that I've ever put out there. And I think it's because I used the trending audio when it was on its upswing, like before people were exhausted from it and before it got like boring. The same with the people using the demure trend right now. Like, obviously we're all sick of hearing the word demure at this point, but that went so viral that the content creator who made it can now do their transition surgery, which is incredible.
I was already sick of it, but when I heard that story, it's like,
yeah, I'm not sick of it anymore.
I will hear that 1,000 times because she got to do.
Yep.
She's going to do the thing.
Is that today's Nickelback? Is that no?
No.
Well, we need a new Nickelback album. I'll stand on that. That'll save us right now.
I think the world can do with that. Come on, man.
Hold me now.
It was actually a conversation last night, by the way. That's no joke.
The things you hear, Greg.
Yeah.
But I just I think that the hard thing about algorithms, to piggyback off of that, is just that you never know what's gonna go viral. It's unpredictable, and that's the part that sucks, is that you can't put something up, or I could try to recreate that,
Yeah.
which is one of my most viral videos, and it's never going to be as viral as that one was because it was just chance.
And, and what you said about how the transitions were kind of wonky or whatever, like, you can have a fully polished video and nobody will see it, but the most embarrassing thing
Yes, and that's whatever I want to trend, that I put like 10 hours in, falls flat. And the things that I put out in like 20 to 30 minutes are the stupid things that go out of control, man. It's awful.
So what about you, Bing? You said you forge online, which is a very interesting
Yes.
path.
There's a lot of difficulties I've come across with that, between figuring out the right equipment, which is I'm always trying to switch up and figure out what works better. Then also, challenge of mine is when I'm streaming, trying to also keep chat, like keep it going and keep the viewers occupied with what I'm doing, because there's a lot of time when I'm working on stuff, I can't focus on the chat that's going by.
That's a tough one, Bobby. Do you get with? 'Cause I know you just got on TikTok this year. You with Bob, right? Y'all started doing
Well, we got on Twitch a couple years in 2018.
but TikTok, right? Y'all started putting out some videos on TikTok.
We
this year.
did, and then we stopped. So it didn't.
Why? Okay, why'd you stop?
We haven't gotten. We're still figuring out who we are, and so before we
Sure. Okay.
go up to TikTok, we want to figure out who we want to be first, as we kind of transition into kind of the next iteration of the network.
That's a good piece of advice here. I see
Yeah.
going with what you're talking about, chat. I see too many live TikToks where every time I go, I'll check them out. It's this.
You see that on Twitch too.
Yeah, because they're trying to read the chat.
Yeah.
Then they go back doing what they're doing. Then they get behind on the chat. And it's,
Yeah.
But
how do you find that balance?
Well, also, not every content is made for every platform, right?
True.
So, like, he's not on TikTok, and that's perfectly fine, because if his stuff is working over on YouTube, then that's where you want to put your
Right.
focus and your energy, right? So, some of the long form videos that we do on YouTube do very well. And then when we cut them up into smaller bits for TikTok, they don't really move as well as they do on Reels or on YouTube. So
Mhm.
Now that's a problem too. Like all the different platforms, like where to put your energy into which one, and like how do you not spread yourself so thin, and also like adjusting, like you said, to have reels here. YouTube is going well, but yet it's not doing good over here. Like it's madness. It's absolute madness, because it's like then every platform, going back to the algorithms, has their own set of rules. So where one thing works there might not work in another place.
Yeah, because for us, we have me and the other show that's kind of the big video game show on VOG Network. We have been live radio shows for the longest time, and we do not shut up. So a short form video is the scariest thing for us, because we're like, wait, we got to get whatever we want to say out in 20 seconds, or they swipe away. How does this work? So we have basically said we're going to develop our community. And so we're only on Twitch, and everybody's like, hey, Twitch allows you to restream to other platforms. You can do it. We're like, no, like, why not? And I'm like, because our community talks to each other. And if we have half of our chat on Twitch and half of our chat on YouTube and half of our chat on Facebook Live, they can talk to us. We can see them, but they can't talk to each other. And so that one of the struggles that I have that gets solved by that interaction and the people there is being consistent. Because one of the things that I've been able to do to keep this going for 19 years is I'm just about every Sunday night at 8:00. And there are weeks, and I do a very topical podcast. I don't do an evergreen podcast. So it's all about what happened very recently in the gaming industry. And there are slow weeks where nothing happened. And I'm like, what am I going to do?
you should dance.
And no, I do not dance. If that means I am no longer a friend of yours,
Bobby, you should lip sync to a Creed.
that would not take me higher. I'm so sorry.
It's weird how you knew that, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at that photograph, and every time it just made me laugh. And
See, we need a new album that'll save us from all the insanity. We're in the worst timeline. We still remember hating on Nickelback, but we still love Nickelback. It's a weird timeline.
Do we love
Just
Nickelback?
wait till
though?
November. It's gonna go.
We love, that's the word. We love Nickelback. I've said it. It's the end of the story.
nobody
This
goes.
is the way.
Look.
This is the way.
Look, nobody goes to Nickelback concerts. It's too crowded.
Wow.
Save us. Save us,
It's
Pete.
gone.
Save it.
No,
You're kind of digging your own grave there.
Dig me out of it. Come on.
I'll say something. I'll dig us out of this. It has nothing to do with any of this. But
Thank you.
I just wanted to go back to the original question. There's a lot of the thing that I struggle with the most is comparison, whether that be my body image and comparing myself to other people in the fitness industry who have more quote unquote ideal body types, and kind of like making a political statement by the fact that I don't have a more societally standard fitness body type, in that I am a fitness professional and I am a healthy person, but I don't need to prove that to you by showing you my abs, because they're under there. They're there. I'm very strong, but there's just, they're covered with some stuff, and I don't have to prove that to anyone. But when I see people who have larger followings than me, who look more conventionally the fitness ideal, it really bums me out. And it's like, I wish I could be at that level, but there is just a societal standard of what a fitness professional looks like. And I'm trying to break it. I'm trying to break that, like, and get people to see, and the right people find me. The right people are like, yes, we get you. We love you. We want to work with you. But I still see the other people and compare myself to them. And not just with body image, it's also other creators and their numbers. Like another cosplayer, especially if they do the same cosplays as me, I'll see like, wow, she started where I am. We both were friends. We started cosplaying around the same time, and she has skyrocketed. Her account is now like 4 times, 10 times. Actually, it's more like 15 times as much as like my following. And my brain automatically goes to this place of like, you're not enough. You're not good enough. You're not there's something about you that is not enough because this person has skyrocketed. And so that's like a big struggle of mine is the comparison aspect of it.
I also have a little something about that. There's the imposter syndrome within like communities, like the comic book community and whatnot. And also when you're dealing in publishing, not having those numbers, publishers look at that like, oh, you have like 3,000 people. That's not enough. We're not going to publish you because we want you to have a built-in audience. Because we're not going to advertise you anymore. It's up to the creators to advertise themselves. And so it starts getting to that point where you're like, well, I'm not like X, Y, and Z. What am I? Like, what's going on? Like, I know I'm talented, but am I?
That's a tough question, right? How do you figure out if you're talented?
I just keep going and seeing if I get enough response back from like videos or Twitch
It's
chat.
a great
like
time
that.
for forging metaphor. You just beat it
Yeah.
out until you get happy with your creation.
Well, I'm not good with words.
You're great.
I'm not a wordsmith. I'm a blacksmith.
Oh, there you go. Well done.
He's been waiting to say that all
Yeah.
weekend.
He workshopped that one.
Yeah, in the mirror every day for hours.
And a picture of Charles.
Yeah.
We are talented. We're very talented people. And it's unfortunate that we get comparisons and that we have to be pitted against each other, like this imaginary pitting. But it's also really ingrained in our brains. Like it's not real in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
We create content and we put it out there for people to enjoy, to take in. And, you know, like I'm creating stories myself and everybody has their perspective of what they're giving to everyone. And I don't know where I was going with that. I just lost my train of thought.
I think talent also is like in the eye of the beholder, right? So like someone is going to think you're talented at
Yes.
something, and you wouldn't be doing what you do if at some point you didn't feel like you were good at it. You know, like that's where confidence comes from, is like succeeding and continuing to have those little small successes. And when you continue to have those little small successes, it breeds more confidence in you. And that's not to say that every time you accomplish something, you're going to be the most confident person in the world. But then people start to respond to that and say that you've had some sort of impact on them or you have helped them in some way.
Yeah.
And that's when you realize that like everything else doesn't really matter. I am doing this for a bigger purpose.
Yeah, actually, I've had that interaction with some of my readers where they're like, "You saved my life," and there's something tremendously great and gratifying and affirming that, you know, what I'm doing affects people in a positive light.
Do you let that outweigh the either real or inferred comments that we all tell ourselves from our brain of "you're not good enough"?
So it's like a battle, right? Because sometimes like those are great moments and you're like, yes, I must keep on. But there's this internal struggle where like your brain just keeps on fighting against you. Like, even though like people say, you're wonderful, you're fantastic, you've done this, you know, you brighten my day, you do X, Y, and Z. There's always some kind of voice that's kind of negative, that kind of puts you down, and it doesn't allow you to continue to push forward in a positive light. But I think we all love creating, and we love putting ourselves out there that we can overcome those demons in our head.
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback on about the competition because a lot of times, or actually I would say every time, there's going to be one person be like, not me. We are our own worst critics. And so even if there's not that competition from outside, there's competition from within. And so, I mean, we are all very talented. I know I'm talented at what I do, but if I see like Charles up on stage, I'm like, I could never do that. I could never do that. And then I go up on stage and I do it, and I do it better than Charles. But I but the inner voice in my head repeats the one negative comment I get out of the 100 positive comments I get, and that's what I get in my head. But also, if somebody likes what you're doing, they don't always tell you. If you're, especially like look at reviews, like restaurant reviews or something, most of the reviews are people who they messed up the order or something like that. They don't really tell you if it was good. So what I'm going to actually put out to you all is, if you like a content creator of any kind, book, podcast, streamer, TikToker, tell them you enjoy what they do. Tell them you appreciate what you do. And even if you think in your head, because I've had this told to me recently, you don't need to hear this from me, but I just wanted to let you know that I really like what you do and I really appreciate you. I'm like, yes, I do need to hear it.
Yeah.
Don't think that I'm too big to hear that from somebody who's just you. It means a lot, and we don't hear it enough.
And now
Never.
something to that effect. If you tell somebody, like say, comment under the video, that helps with the algorithm.
Yes.
It's just a flipping thing that just keeps on coming up. Positive reinforcement, adding that to the creator, it helps us, and it helps us. Like, it gets our videos, our content to viewers more so, because the algorithm's like, oh, someone's doing the thing. Someone's like actually like saying something. There's interaction there. Therefore, we're going to put more into that. It's going to appear to more audience, pretty much.
Okay. I don't really go religion, but there's a quote in the Bible
boy.
that rides well. The Rise for Creators it's one of the ones that really rides well. It's like, who told you were naked? And I'm gonna throw this to you, Phil. You will sit for 4 or 5, 8 hours working on a 3-minute song, and you will hate it.
And then I'll do what?
And then you'll sit on it for a year,
Uh-huh.
and then you'll send it to me to tell you it's amazing.
Or I'll
'Cause it's
delete
amazing.
it.
Or you'll delete
I'll
it.
delete it.
But who told you it was bad?
My
Who
lizard
told you?
brain. Are you
Exactly.
kidding?
So
bad brain
but
worms
you've
just
got it.
keep
So
telling you bad.
that's where you have to not only tell yourself you're good enough,
Well, so
and gosh darn it, people
like you.
Well,
Yeah, thank you, Bobby.
here's something I figured out recently is that after I went on a weird trip, I came back and it's not after 10.
It was to Jersey. It was a really weird trip.
I came,
New York.
yeah, I'm not allowed in New York, but I came back realizing, like, if I'm happy with myself and what I'm creating, my audience is going to be happy as well, right? Because my whole thing, the thing that I struggle with, is holding myself to unachievable goals and putting so much pressure on myself to obtain those goals that I will never get, that I'm setting myself up for failure no matter what. So I just was sitting outside during a thunderstorm in my afterglow and realized, hey, look, like, if I'm happy, my community is going to be happy with me, and I can't be holding myself to these, pillars of unachievableness. So
this kind of goes with something like, I'm, hitting midlife.
yeah.
Something about this, like this idea that you've got these huge goals. You want to like accomplish a lot of things in your life, but you're missing the moment. Is there feedback?
I
Not
think
in
that's
this
next
room.
door.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it might
It's
be.
like, what is going on?
This is not a product of the digital media track. You do not swipe left.
You can blame the people in the next room.
But it's just something about enjoying the process of life. That's what it is in here.
Sorry, everybody. And you power through. Here, let's go really close.
Okay.
Let's have some careless whispers.
It's time for the ASMR side of this final.
Sorry, go ahead with your thought.
Okay,
All
so
right, just real
just
close.
enjoying the process, instead of like, you can have set goals, but enjoying the process, because otherwise you're going to run yourself ragged and mad and whatnot, fatigue, and set up for failure. Just
And so what I do now is I have a hard cutoff on something that I'm working on. Because if I don't give myself that hard deadline and that hard cutoff, the more I work on it and the more I listen to it, the more I'm going to hate it. And the more I'm going to pick out these little things that I find as imperfections that nobody else is going to notice but me, right? So I give myself, all right, you have to be done this by Sunday at 10 o'clock, and you just ship it out and don't even worry about it after that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's actually, I also come from a music performance background, and I will play something and I'll be like, oh man, I missed so many notes. I dropped notes. I played drums, marching drums. And I'm like, I dropped so many notes. But then I'll hear people like, that was the best thing I ever heard in my life. And I'm like, did you not notice how many mistakes I made? And they're like, no. And like,
Right.
they can't read your sheet music. They don't know what's on the sheet music. As long as it's not completely out of tune, they think it's going to be great. And it's hard to reconcile that in your head because you have the sheet music. You know what it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to be in your head, but they don't know that. They just know what you put out, and they may still really love it.
There is something to be said about taking somebody else's positive vision of you and making it your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they come up to you, say, you changed my life. What you do is awesome. You're inspiring. Just let that soak in, because who told you were bad at it? Well, somewhere in our lives, look at our kids. They'll color all outside the lines. We're like, this is great. You're like, sure, but they have no negativity to say this is not great. So we've got the messages that what we did was not great. So if you start accepting, that's what I did. I started accepting when somebody did write to me and say, hey, you got me through my family function because of your family dysfunction and this and that. And just talking about it. And that just helped me go further when the
After
algorithms.
listening about your family, I think I'm doing all right.
No, I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. That is the first random email I ever got in podcasting.
And they're not wrong.
Yeah, no,
They're not wrong.
yeah.
Well, I wanted to say, like, before Dragon Con, I was actually feeling very overwhelmed because this is my sixth con of the year as a presenter and a panelist,
Wow.
and I'm a little burnt out, for lack of a better word. And I was am on 7 panels this weekend, so I was feeling very not great about coming to Dragon Con because I was just like, I was freaking out a little bit because it's been a lot. This year has been a lot, and it's been great, and I'm growing, and I think that's why it felt so heavy. And I shared that with my friends because the last con I did was FlameCon, which is in Manhattan, and it's a completely queer run convention. It's amazing. And
I thought it was Johnny Storm convention. I'm sorry.
but like I presented there, and I stayed in a hotel room with a couple of friends, and like was kind of just like dissociating because I was just so over being around people. And this weekend, actually just today, one of my friends who was staying with me in that in the hotel room messaged me and was like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that it looks like Dragon Con is going really well from your social media. It's okay if it's not, and you're just also putting only the positive stuff on social media, but I just want to say that like what you do makes a difference, and what you do is important. And like, she has no idea how much I needed to hear that. But just getting that message from her, I just like sat here and started crying. I was like, oh, my green makeup is coming off because, but it was just like, it was so sweet and so kind, but like, she wouldn't have known to check in with me if I didn't share that with her at FlameCon and be like, yo, I'm like terrified of Dragon Con this year. Like, I'm so overwhelmed and so scared. And like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And like, if I didn't share that, she would have never known to sort of like send me that message. So my advice, I guess, is to also don't be afraid to open up to your supporters, your support system when you are feeling a certain kind of way, because they can help you. And I also have a folder on my phone of screenshots from either past clients or just random people on the internet of like all of the kind things that people have said about me, because I need that because we do, like, going back to before when we talk about, you know, all of the focusing on the negative comments. It's so easy to focus on the negative comments, but like, I decided to have, I call it my confidence booster folder. And whenever I'm feeling really particularly crappy about myself, I'll just open it up and start like looking at some of the nice things that people have said about me in the past, just because my brain needs to be like, look, you are doing good things. You are not, you know, the scum of the earth. And, or like, you know, whatever it is that your brain is telling you. And to just, like Charles was saying, like, it's hard to let compliments soak in sometimes, but if you have like photographic evidence of those compliments, it's kind of just like,
what's that like therapy where they have to like hold your eyes open and you're looking at something? Is it torture? I don't know, but
It's Clockwork Orange. Yeah. That's
you have to like watch the thing and then it'll like subliminally go into your mind. Like do that with the good things.
You know, I've been having a really difficult year. I've been transforming and changing, and Dragon Con has been affirming, life affirming, that, you know, like we live in a bubble. We live away from people a lot of times. I mean, you've had a billion cons that you've been doing, so that's a lot. But I've been in a bubble for most of the year, and Dragon Con, just people coming over and they're like, can you sign my original copy of this book? And oh, I loved your badge artwork last year, and all this, you know, really reaffirming things. And my best friend always tells me, like, let these things in, essentially, and that I've created all this work, and there's a reason why I'm here. The imposter syndrome is very real, and yeah, I'm fucking amazing. Can I say F words?
we'll edit and post. Don't worry about it. Yeah, you're amazing. Honestly, we all should say that about ourselves some
Throw
point.
that in the curse
Right.
jar. I got you covered.
No, we're all amazing. We
Yeah.
create and we connect, and that's something that we have to remember and find that within ourselves as well. You know, it needs to come from ourselves, and it's always, again, please like, comment, and subscribe.
Are there creators? Are you guys
Yeah. Anybody in the audience?
aspiring creators, actual creators?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, free.
And if anybody in the audience has any questions, there's the microphone up there. You can come and ask that too.
Well, we just say now. I mean, come on.
So, if any of you guys have transitioned from shorter form content to longer form content, such as YouTube, what were the initial learnings there / difficulties?
So I've had difficulties the other way, going from long form. Like,
Yeah, that's
my standard is 2 hours on a podcast.
I'm glad to hear about the other way.
Yeah. Well, look, if you can practice short, you can come up with the long. I started off doing a 3-hour podcast because I had to work through all of my trauma and I just didn't stop talking. So to try to do a TikTok that's less than 5 minutes, which is my goal, I've never got it in under 5 minutes yet.
Nope.
I know, right? It's a struggle for me. And honestly, now that I'm part of the DragonCon spokesperson team, I had to go on the news this morning and give them a 10-second soundbite. I gave them a minute, and they're going to cut it down because it's a struggle. I don't know how to get my ideas succinctly. Do y'all struggle with that?
Oh yeah. Just like condensing everything in the brain. It's like you've got all this stuff that you want to tell somebody and you have to make it into a little tiny thing. I mean, sound bites and other things like that have been very helpful. But I still don't know how to make short content that's, you know, except like process video and things like that.
Yeah, process video. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I do in my head know how I would make my long form content more short form. I just don't in my heart want to actually do it. And it's actually
Sure.
spending time refining what I want to say before I say it. I do
Yeah.
everything live. I'm kind of improvising and I'm kind of riffing. And when I try to do, because my podcast is an hour, and I'll spend maybe 10 minutes on a topic or 15 minutes on a topic. And I'm like, you know what? It would be cool years ago to post video clips on Twitter to point to my podcast. But Twitter's limit is 2 minutes, 20 seconds. And I would always be like, okay, let me take the live part and kind of cut it down with the jump cuts to get it down to 2 minute 20, but I still couldn't. And it's because I'm like, I know what I'm going to talk about, and I'm just going to talk about it, my riff with my audience and everything. And it came out to longer than 2 minutes, 20 seconds. So I know I would need to really spend some time figuring out how I want to phrase what I want to say before I say it. And I just don't put in the time to do that. So that's on me.
And for somebody like you and I, having an outside editor who's not like you or even you, Chandra, you're talking about, I know what I want to say and how I want to say it. You take an outside editor that just cuts it down. That helps. But I was pointing to you, Heather, because you do that standard TikTok of cut, and it's poppy, and I like it and I share it. But
Thank you.
that's a lot of work, right?
Yes. And I think like we kind of flipped your question, so I'll like flip it back for you. When you niche down in the type of content that you're doing, if you already have done that with the short form content that you do, I think the answer to this question is it depends on what you are doing specifically. We can't like make it as broad and as general as like keeping it vague. If you want to share that, please feel free to, but like my advice is to niche down as much as possible. That way, whatever you're talking about is relevant. So like if you're really good at whatever type of short form video you're doing, your audience will enjoy the longer form stuff because they're going to be like, I'm interested in learning more about what this person has to say. So whether it is like you're in a character or like you're doing little skits or whatever, like on your short form content, or you're doing like really short education points, like whatever it might be, I think the transition to longer form content would be to like keep your niche the same, just expand on the topics that you are talking about.
Yeah, that's a great answer, and it is educational content.
Great. That's great. Yeah, that's perfect. You already have the short form, and that's wonderful. Now you can dig deeper in the long form content and really find where you fit in that long form content by like niching down and having your topics. Yeah.
And that's exactly, my buddy does both. He does short form and then long form. He has 2 different scripts, right? And he'll go out and he'll write 2 different scripts for the 2 different projects that he's working on, and just rewrite them, look at them, rewrite them. Give yourself a cutoff though. Don't do what he does. And then since you're doing like educational, yeah, you have so much room to expand there and get into deeper and deeper, avenues that you can't do in like a minute. So
the reason he's not here is because he's still writing his first script.
he is writing right now. Yeah.
Yes.
Then he's going to go delete it and throw it away.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, where did you start, Bane? Short, long form?
I pretty much just started with Twitch long form. That's how I started doing my content, and I've tried to branch out into TikTok and YouTube here and there, and I've just had difficulties getting my brain into being able to edit the material down from the long form.
Is it because of the editing process or the material?
It's a bit of both, because like I know a little bit of like editing videos. I've done it once or twice, but it's just something I'm not that skilled in. And then as well as like trying to edit me down forging is just like, to me, it just feels weird seeing how that works.
Right. So that's in this from outside perspective. I think it'd be easy for you. Like, we're going to start with this massive metal.
Mhm.
Here's a few cut shots of smash and fire,
Yeah.
and then here's the finished product. But you are that creator where
Yeah,
it's hard to.
with how I
hard
view
to
of
see
how the
before.
process of how I see the process. It's hard for me to equate how I do that process over in a shorter form
Gotcha.
medium.
I want to speak back to our guest or our question asker audience member. Hello.
Yeah.
If you already have a bit of a following with your short form content too, you can also ask your following what type of content they would like to see, and that can help inspire you too. Like, you don't have to do what they want. If you're like, no, I'm never doing that, you don't have to, but it can be inspiring. Like, I've asked my audience what type of cosplays they'd like me to see, and sometimes I'm like, yes, I would love to do that, and sometimes I'm like, no, I would never do that. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, great idea. Thanks for the advice, all you guys.
And while this
Hey,
question-
you want to plug your stuff?
yeah.
Plug your stuff.
I don't have any content and I don't have any following. I'm just curious. One day you'll see.
Heck yeah. We'll see you next year. when you
Yeah.
have-
While you come up, on Wise and Nerdy, my show partner, he does the clips, and he basically just edits me out of the show. We do like 5 to 10 minute clips. Go on YouTube.
Yeah, and it's a 5-minute show.
It
at that
really
point.
is.
And it gets more downloads than you can.
So I've heard that your followers follow you for what you're putting out, and it's their choice to follow and to stay there. And really, you don't owe them anything once they're following you. But I've also heard it's important to nurture the community you have now. If it's important for them to interact with your content, like, comment, follow, and the more they interact, the more reach you're going to get. Is it also important for you to interact with them, nurture your current community, and do outreach for new followers? I'm just confused as to where I should spend my time, just working on the content and they follow me for this reason, or should I also be hopping in the comments with them and jumping on their pages as well?
The shortest answer I will give: value for value. If you're getting value from what they're giving, you give them value that they seem to respond to. and just recognizing screen names or shouting out, hey, John Smith 3321 said he liked my stuff.
But would you
whatever
go to
works for you.
John Smith's page also and be like, hey, I really like that post. I like that reel.
I'm going to say no. And the reason I say this is because that becomes very exhausting the more that you grow. And I don't want to put any kind of that kind of pressure on you as a creator that you have to be doing that. When I was first starting out with my business, I did follow a business page that basically was like, would you, your clients should be people who you want to be following. So she was like, always follow your clients back. And I do, but they are paying me or they are very warm leads for me, or they are like, they're in the cosplay community and we have met before, that kind of thing. But I would say if they're a stranger who's supporting you, not monetarily, or you don't actually have a relationship with them, you can like their comment, you can shout them out like Charles said, you can interact with them in your comments on your page, but you have no obligation to promote any of their stuff because this is about you.
Yeah. And don't forget, focus on your content. You're going to put in effort to talk to the people back, whatever. But remember, content is also key. Don't waste your time going other places.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
I kind of equate it to dating, right? Not everybody hollers at you. You want to talk to people.
So I used to do that, right? Like a follow for a follow. If they follow me, I'm going to support them back.
Yeah, I never.
And then,
back.
no, but it was just like, yeah, heck yeah, I'll follow this person back. And so I followed them, and like 3 days later, all these really awful things were posted on their Twitter. Right. And I was like, oh boy, I don't want to be associated with any of that. So it gets really, just because they support you doesn't mean they won't support other terrible things on the internet.
Yeah,
Just-
because they support you means they will support
That's right. But I also don't support those terrible things.
Yeah, if they
on the
support
internet.
a Chandra, that
But what
saints.
But like what I do is my community, we have a Discord server, just like how the Digital Media Track has a Discord server, and I am accessible there. But I don't go to their pages to respond or anything. But if they are interacting in my community, I do interact back. I don't ignore them, and I acknowledge them. Or if they put a comment under a YouTube video and ask a question, I'll respond in the comments. So, and then I also, when we're live, I do read out their names and I'm interacting with them in chat as well. But that's in my space. I don't necessarily go to their space to constantly interact with them.
And it's also important to set up healthy boundaries in any
Yeah.
kind of relationship. If it's not work or your content and your people, your family, right? It's always nice to have these boundaries where it's like, we'll go this far, but we're not going past that.
Yeah, I've utilized on Instagram at least, there's like a primary folder, a general folder, and a restricted folder, or whatever they're actually named. And there's a group of people, even if I don't follow them back or whatever, who are very supportive of me, who I interact with in my primary DMs because, I genuinely, like, they don't creep me out. They're not bad people, that kind of thing. Then I have my general folder where people will send me stuff, and sometimes I'll respond, sometimes I won't. And then there's the people who I will never, ever respond to because they say crazy things, or like all they do is like heart eyes my cosplays but never support anything else that I do, that kind of stuff. And I think that for me has sort of given me my own boundary of like, this is someone I would consider, like, if they came up to me at a convention, I would be like, heck yeah, I consider us cool, like we're great. And the middle folder is sort of like, I consider that we have a parasocial relationship. You think you know me, but you don't actually know me, and I don't actually know you. And then in the more restricted folder, it's like, I hope I don't ever see you.
So in regards to Twitch streaming, I've been doing it for a while myself, but the issue is there's some categories on Twitch that are so saturated. I'm talking like for this weekend in general, Call of Duty, Black Ops. Any advice into finding your niche in these giant categories that are flooded with people?
That's tough.
Go, Bobby.
Go, Bobby.
So I don't like how they revamped the tag system, but that can help because people will search by tags. Are you streaming games? Like what are you looking to stream on Twitch?
I'm primarily an FPS player. So
Okay.
Valorant was Modern Warfare 3 before this weekend, but then I was
Right.
like, Dragon Con's more important than COD this
Right.
weekend.
Yeah.
That's just personally, but it's mostly FPSs and then just games with friends in the communities that
Right.
I'm part of.
I would say use the tags. Like, what makes you different from other creators? Like, what do you provide? Because one of the things that I always have to tell people who don't understand Twitch, because the question I always get is, well, why is my kid watching Twitch, or why is this person? Why do you watch? Who would want to watch someone else play a video game? And I'm like, they're not watching the video game. They're watching the personality playing the video game. Kind of like back in my era. So back in the day, MTV played music videos.
We had to dial up the internet.
Put my streams out on beta. Man.
That's right. 8-track. Right. But
You had to get
MTV
a laser disc
so-
to watch my stuff.
MTV played music videos, and a lot of times people my age, and I did this too, I wouldn't be really watching for the music videos. I'd be watching for the VJ. And what, like Headbangers Ball, I didn't care what they played on Headbangers Ball. I watched it for the VJs. And so that's the same thing with Twitch, is that, like, you know, people aren't necessarily just watching for Call of Duty. They're watching for a personality playing Call of Duty. So what makes you, what are you doing while you're playing Call of Duty or Valorant or any of the other FPSs? What are you doing that sets you apart, and somehow try to get that in your tags or in your stream title? Because they're going to pull up, okay, let's see all the Call of Duty streams. Now, which one speaks to me? And you have that little thumbnail, and you have like a couple words and a couple tags. Is all this showing on the browse page?
To me, it's just like the Dragon Con app, right? You searched out what you wanted to find, you found this. However, that's Twitch. You'll find a little bit. But what we did is we went and built our own community. We found other ways where you're not saturated. Say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Come see me. And that helps drive some in, because there's 28 tracks and main programming and raves and concerts, and we're competing against all of it. But you found us, because one way or the other, you just keep shouting it out elsewhere.
And also, consistency is king, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So every Sunday for 19 years,
Yeah.
right? His fans don't even have to question. They know he's going to be there
Yeah.
on stream.
Except tomorrow night.
Yeah,
Except tomorrow
exactly.
But so, yeah, I mean, for me, it's always invest time over money and get that schedule set so that, like, I go live Monday mornings at 10 a.m. my time for retro streams, right? And my viewers don't even have to wait for my post to come out. You know, when I hit live, they're already in the chat waiting because they know at 10 o'clock I'm going to be there.
Another thing that I've found that works with Twitch is be part of the Twitch community. And what that means is participate in other people's streams, and don't go in there and promote. Don't say I'm a streamer, blah, 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 because you'd hate it if someone did that to you.
Oh no, that's an auto ban right
Right,
there.
exactly.
Like,
But
bye.
if you're just there and you're interacting with their community, you're interacting with them, especially if they're your friend, you know, they're people you know. Maybe it's parasocial, maybe it's not. You know, because I've got a few that I'm like, okay, yes, we kind of know each other, but not really. And then I was like, okay, you're my friend, right? I wasn't even talking about you about either relationship. Anyway, so, but like eventually, and then at some point I raid them, and they're like, oh, you know, somebody in our community, you know, everybody, you know, they do the shout out command, and people follow, and then you can kind of grow that way. Maybe they raid you back, but participate in the Twitch community, the broader Twitch community in your categories, just as a fan. And then they may see, oh, you stream too.
Yeah.
Okay. That helps, because Twitch's discoverability by itself sucks.
It's absolutely horrendous.
Yes.
I also want to say that I don't stream on Twitch, so you can take this with a grain of salt. But I think one of the greatest things about niching down is like honing in on your authenticity and what really makes you you, and what makes you shine, and what your skills are. And I think that will help when you're trying to decide, you know, what kind of tags do I want to use? What does help me stand out? Like, what do I want to be, the like black lipstick girl, you know, like whatever it is that you want to like really use to niche down, that like you love, that brings you joy, that is you truly being like, even if it's an online persona version of you, it's still like you authentically enjoy turning that on.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
How much time we got, B?
13 minutes.
Ooh. I was wondering, if you are an inconsistent poster, how do you like keep your audience when you're not like uploading content you usually do?
Ooh.
I'm very inconsistent on TikTok and Instagram, because you just got to do it when you feel like doing it. So I just do it for me. I say what I want to say, put out what I want to put out, and it actually tends to find viewership on it, on that kind of aspect. Now, do a regular show every week, like Bobby and Phil are talking about. That's consistency, and the fans will know you're missing, but you just do what you can when you can. Anybody else?
I'm neurodivergent, and consistency is very hard for me. I forget to post all the time. I tried to do a consistent schedule and I found it very overwhelming because I was like, I don't have anything to post right now and it's going to kill me. So one of the best pieces of advice I got from one of my mentors was that your audience isn't going to notice. That like, unless you have established a schedule, if you've told your audience every Sunday, I'm going live at this time, I'm doing this, and then you don't do that, that's a sense of like betrayal. But if you've never given them any reason to see you consistently, they don't really have a reason, and they'll be happy to see you when you do show up. And that's why taking social media breaks is not a bad thing. Like there's a lot of people who are like, if I take a social media break, I'll lose my audience. Go MIA for a week, no one is going to notice. We are all so in our own butts, like on social media, like no one's going to notice that you didn't post for a week.
Or if they do, they reach out and go, hey, we miss you. And that's a great.
Yeah. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Is everything okay?
Yeah.
That's what I'll get sometimes because there's, especially recently, I haven't streamed for a little bit just because work's been busy, everything's been busy.
Yeah, missing
and
the
so
point. It's okay. Love you, man. It's better.
But yeah, stream, like put out your content when you can, and people that do follow you again will follow you and will find you again. So just kind of keep going at it.
I think what everybody says, find your balance,
Mhm.
and then the rest will follow.
I don't post.
That's true.
To hell with them. I don't care.
Yeah. That's
I'm
valid.
bad
That's
at
a
social
valid.
media, man. I'm terrible.
But
at
that is a
it. And I
valid
don't care.
tactic.
I don't use Instagram. Twitter is dead. Facebook is for my mom. Like I don't care about anything.
Blue sky supremacy.
I still don't use it. To hell with it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love your She-Hulk cosplay.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so I was just wondering that so me and my friends are making a show and we're still in like the whole doing the scripting part, but when we actually start to like publish stuff for it, how do we get a fan base? How do we get like attention?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I think it's like just start. If you have any sort of community already, IRL, that you can sort of like use as puppets for your, be like, hey, we just posted our first video. Can you all go like and comment on it or share it or whatever? Like, don't be afraid to use the people in your life to promote your stuff, especially when you are first starting out. And then I think what we kind of were talking about with the Twitch streaming stuff is like try to use the hashtags or the tags or whatever it is to promote it that will help the right people find you.
What platform are you using?
We're using TikTok and YouTube
Okay.
mostly.
Exactly right. So the algorithm won't know if it's your friends and family. The
Yeah.
algorithm doesn't care, right? So with YouTube and TikTok, there's a lot of different things that feed into it, but watch time is a big part of it, right? So if you have a long form on YouTube, just have your friends and family pull it up and just let it play in the back and keep going, right? Because that's going to start generating some more of the algorithm for you. And that's what we did. Like for our podcast, like when we first started, I took my mom's phone, my uncle's phone, everyone of my family left me a great 5-star review because Apple's algorithm doesn't know, right? And so that helped us come up on the charts and get on pages and stuff so that we could then have this community come back behind us and push the ball up the hill with us.
And then, like you were saying earlier, find somebody similar to what you're doing. And don't go, hey, watch my stuff, but go in and say, I really love what you, be specific. I love what you did here, here, and here. And after you do that 2 or 3 times, they might actually go check out your channel. And they might, or you might build that relationship where you go, hey, could you promote me? That would be amazing. And then you guys actually found a podcast that you like, The Morning Stream, right?
Yeah.
Where y'all paid, they were charging $15 for a little ad, something very reasonable. So you find that's like, hey, if I gave you $20, would you say, come watch my channel? That kind of thing.
And
Or collaborations too.
Yeah.
as a fitness professional, there are other, believe it or not, there are other nerdy fitness professionals out there, and every time I find one, I'm always like, oh dang it, because it's like, oh, you do what I do, but as soon as I get over that initial feeling, I'm like, no, great, we have something in common and we can collaborate. And that's exactly, I just hosted a flash mob upstairs this morning. It was like a workout flash mob, and it was another a geeky fitness person who I met online, and was like, do you want to collaborate on this flash mob? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So,
because the worst thing they can say is no,
No.
right?
And-
And even though it sometimes might be hard to hear, like it's fine. You know, everybody's got their own schedule, but like you wouldn't guess this, I'm a big musical nerd, right? And so I heard that Anthony Rapp from Rent likes to play D&D, so I sent him a message on Twitter, and then we had him on the show in 3 months, right? So
Yeah.
you could just
never
ask,
know, shoot
and they
your
could
shot.
say no.
Yeah, if you never ask, the answer is always no.
Yeah. So
If you do ask, it's only most likely no.
Like, can you kill me in your books? That'd be
for
No?
$500, right?
Oh, yeah,
That's
for
what they
$500.
charge you $500.
No, $500 to live. Killing is free.
Bean, I mean, what you do is so niche. How did you find any kind of audience?
Yeah, who's the Tony Hawk of forging?
Really, how I started and how I started getting a little bit of audience was mainly through Discord servers of friends. Like the Botch Discord
Yeah.
server is
Oh,
kind
there
of
you go, the communities you're in.
Yeah, through other communities, friends communities, kind of promote your stuff. And if you have friends in there, and they'll check out what you're doing, and that'll kind of help start you out.
And Witten started in the crowd. And then within 3 years, he got himself on here and established on Twitch and all that. So it's been great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
It's axolotl.
It is an axolotl, and he's drinking strawberry milk.
Oh my
Aw.
No.
Yeah. I'm primarily an art streamer on Twitch, but I have like my regulars and stuff, but my community itself is pretty small. And because Twitch is changing how viewers count and all that fun stuff, if they're not interactive in chat, their view goes away.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
I haven't actually heard that part.
Speculation. They don't really tell us, right?
Yeah.
But I'm really experimental with how to get people interactive in chat, because the creative side is mostly work and lurk, or you're a haven for the other creators. So if you guys are also experimental in that sense, how long do you try something before you decide it doesn't work and switch? Because I feel like I might be switching too much, because people will
Yeah,
come back
it's
and be
hard.
like, where's that thing you had like 2 weeks ago? And I'm like, dude, I got rid of that 3 weeks ago.
this is not related to Twitch, but it may, like, my experience may overlap with your experience in terms of like how long something takes to work. And I think like we are so quick to judge something doing well or something doing poorly just because it doesn't go exactly the way we planned it to, or the way that we envisioned it in our heads. And like something for me, like I said, I do cosplay and I have my workout program and I do cosplay fitness. My cosplay content does astronomically better than my fitness content. And this year I made a specific point to post more fitness content on my Instagram. And the goal of that was to get more clients, right? Like I want people to who follow me to know what I do, so that they see my stuff and they're like, that's Heather. That's the girl with the workout program. Not, oh, why did Heather just post a workout? That's weird. Like, because there are people who meet me at cons not in this capacity where I'm talking about it, and then they start following me and they're like, this doesn't make sense. And for me, and again, this is different and it's more long-term sort of goal, I have gained, like, so it was a 2024 goal of mine, and I have gained 10 clients this year. And I think I can chalk that up to posting more fitness content about being consistent in it. But I also have to do some reverse engineering to figure out exactly where these people came from and all of that. So I think it's like looking for the evidence that you are looking for. Where is the evidence? Where is it coming from? And how can you reverse engineer it to it was this action that got me here?
Okay.
Hopefully that is helpful.
How have you overcome that in the authorship world? finding out what works to market your book or find that audience?
Geez, I'm a. It's a mystery to me.
So that's honestly the truth of our professionals. Sometimes we get to places
Yeah,
and we
we
just
just-
kept trying things.
Yeah, I mean, like when I was just starting out, I used a platform called DeviantArt.
Yep.
I know that one.
Yeah.
I'm there and then I left.
Yeah, I forget, it was like early 2000s that I would post my own work, and then I'd also post fan art. And I had a niche, which was the Venture Brothers. A lot of people know
Hell
me
yeah.
from that.
Right.
I was one of the few people that was doing Venture Brothers art, and that gained me a lot of attention, and I got to know the creators because of the.
You met Doc because of
He
it?
married me.
No. Oh shit.
Right? Are you
Not-
married to Doc or Doc did the performance?
He did the performance.
Got it.
Yes.
No shit.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
Seriously.
We're
Okay.
We're all finding out things
Like,
today.
Yeah.
that was my little niche fan art, and I've made so many friends, and then it brought people to see my own original content. So that worked for me in a lot of ways. So I built up a fan base, and it's been maintained for centuries, maybe decades. Well, decades. Yes, that's true, actually. So it's weird because also networking, that's a different kind of thing. So networking and real, like going to conventions, talking to publishers, talking to fellow creators, and having like a community. Like you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Kind of talking about that on the digital realm, but in the the physical realm, having those kind of networks, and also coming to here and talking to us and talking to you and all that. Like it's wild. I don't know. I'm looping around.
Yeah. So I want to clear up a misconception. I know we're almost at time, but
No,
I'll try to do this as short form content about the Twitch views, because I've been kind of thinking about what you were saying. You said it was speculation. How Twitch counts a view. It does not matter about chat, because no TV app for Twitch allows you to chat anymore. You say, I want to chat, and it's like, okay, here's the QR code, pull it up on your mobile.
Yeah.
You used to be able to chat on TV. So that is not how they do it. What they do, they obviously don't say everything, but if someone mutes the stream, it does not count as a view. If they can tell that it's in the background and not primary on your screen, it does not count as a view. But as long as it is there on the screen, and if you mute the tab in your browser, it doesn't know. It's only if it's muted in the Twitch stream itself, in the player. That's when it says, okay, you're not a viewer anymore. But as long as it's
That's
active and primary, they're trying to stop view botting.
No, I hear that.
So, but that's what's actually happening. It has nothing to do with the chat, because you could even be on your mobile as chat only, where it doesn't even stream it to you. That doesn't count as a view. So
Chat
that's
only
where,
doesn't count as a view.
Huh?
Chat only doesn't count.
No, because
That's
you're not
their own
actually
app.
viewing the screen. You're not actually
Weird.
viewing the stream. You're not actually receiving the ads that it wants to show you, because they need to deliver ads to you or get your subscription money, or get your Twitch Turbo money.
I mean, there's more of us than there is Bezos. I'm just
Hey, Bean is trying to tell you, shut up. He's just too polite, so I'll say it. Shut up.
So anyway,
So I think I hope that answers your question as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, keep trying, and if it doesn't feel right,
And we do
Switch
have
it.
to wrap this, but come up and ask your question.
Yes, at the
Oh,
end.
quick.
Really, really quick. It's
Yeah.
also Twitch related, and I'm just wondering. You mentioned it before about how your content is. You need to be very focused. You don't have the time to be looking at your
Yes.
comments. Do you think it's important or necessary to just make a disclaimer essentially to your viewers, saying like, "Look, I just don't have. I can't. I'm not. I don't have it up on my screen. I can't be looking at it all the time."
I don't personally because I'm very small with Twitch
Right.
streaming. I maybe will get a chat in once during a stream.
Right.
But when I see that pop up, I'll respond to it as soon as I can see it. But otherwise, like if it's there and I can't read it right there, I'll see. I'll let them know like, hey, give me a minute. I'll respond to you.
Right.
in a
Like,
second,
yeah.
but-
Yeah.
Like for like fine art like content,
Yeah.
right? Where you can't, it's not on a computer. You're not having it like,
Yeah.
like for gaming and stuff.
I will say most Twitch viewers expect interactivity
Right.
because that's the nature of the platform.
So would a disclaimer maybe help? Would a disclaimer maybe help? Hey, I'm distracted.
It would help, and they would probably go somewhere else where they could
I
be more
understand.
interactive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So you're basically either gonna lose people or you're gonna find people who really just want the content. They don't really care
Right.
about the interaction.
Yeah.
Or if they'll have a question, they'll wait for a little bit for that answer. And
Right.
Like
until-
I said,
yeah.
I'll take a look up at the computer screen mid forging and then see like, oh, there's a response. I'll respond to that person. Like I'll let them know again. Hey, I can't read that right now. Give me a minute.
Yeah.
For Botch, we have a disclaimer right in our panel saying we want to interact with you during the live show.
Right.
So, and people
Okay.
kind of understand that because we're doing a comedy show,
Yeah.
right? And then we do 2 streams, right? The not interact with chat is podcasting, and then we'll do like community game nights on Monday,
Right.
where the whole team comes together and plays like Gartic Phone or Jackpot games, and that's where we get to interact with everybody.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much.
Now, why don't we say where everybody can find yourselves?
You can find me on any social media platform at Heather Bodie. And again, my last name has 2 Ds. It's like body with 2 Ds. I also have business cards up here that have my information about my workout program and also about my podcast, which is called Mental Health Multiverse. And then my workout program is called Geeknesium. And if you're interested, I'm doing a giveaway for a free membership. So one person from this weekend will get a free membership to Geeknesium.
That's right. Give it up for it. Rock Out Podcasting. You can look it up. Linktree is /RGOP42. You find everything I do there. Well, thank you. What I got 1 or 2. Awesome. I know I'm not Heather or Chandra, but that's okay. I'll take it.
Well, if you want to see me at the con, I'm in Artist Alley, which is America's Mart, Building 2, Floor 4. I am 127 table. So you can come see my wares, all of my artwork, and my beautiful book that I kickstarted.
That is very beautiful.
Thank you. And also, I have business cards to find me online, to see my YouTube with my husband, Stephen Emond. And we talk about art. We do all sorts of different things. And yeah, spookychan.com if you're too scared to come up and get a card.
All right, you can find my podcast. It is called The Bobby Blackwolf Show. I named it after myself. And it's about video game industry. We stream it live on Twitch on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. for about an hour over at the Voice of Geeks Network. So that is at vognetwork.com. You can also find me at Bobby Blackwolf everywhere or at bobbyblackwolf.com on Blue Sky, which is the superior social networking site. So please follow me on Blue Sky. There's also an amazing Dragon Con feed I made on Blue Sky that gets the posts all about Dragon Con because you can have your own algorithm. So yeah.
Cool.
Philip D. Keating, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and one with Insta, Imaginary Nomad. I hate myself. You hate yourself. Let's hate each other better upstairs as we do an imposter panel of dealing with the imposter syndrome in the Crystal Ballroom in the Hilton. If that interests you, we start in about 20 minutes. So,
And we're all 3 on it.
Dean's on it. Heather's on it. I'm on it. Let's hate each other better.
I'm too much of an imposter to be on it. They didn't even let me on it.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. Thank you, Ben, for being a great moderator.
Thank you.